In today's world, critical minerals have become the hidden backbone of modern life. They are not ordinary resources. They are the building blocks of our technology, our industries, and even our defense systems. From copper and nickel to rare earth elements, these materials quietly power almost everything around us. Think about it. The car you drive, the phone in your pocket, the laptop on your desk, even the power lines that light up your home. All of them depend on these minerals. Modern defense systems, satellites in space, renewable energy projects, and the growing electric vehicle industry cannot function without a steady supply of critical minerals. Recently, global trade tensions have shown just how vulnerable supply chains can be. When a major supplier halts shipments, industries across the world feel the shock. In auto factories, assembly lines are forced to slow down because batteries and microchips are delayed. In steel plants, projects are suspended as raw materials run dry. In technology hubs like Silicon Valley, engineers face shortages of rare earths that are essential for processors, lasers, and medical devices. The pandemic also highlighted this issue. When demand for certain minerals surged, prices shot up. For instance, the price of lithium, a key component of batteries, saw an increase of over 300%. But here's the catch. While we use these minerals every day, very few countries have the ability to extract them. In fact, more than 60% of the world's critical minerals come from just two countries, China and the United States. This raises a crucial question. In a world where minerals are the new gold, what does it mean for a nation to be rich? Is it still about oil wells and gold reserves? Or are we entering an era where control over minerals holds the key to economic and technological dominance? India, it seems, is well on its way to making the most of this opportunity. Recent announcements have revealed plans to invest over $11 billion in the mineral sector. But why is this move significant? What does it reveal about the evolving dynamics of wealth and power in the 21st century? Join me as we unravel the reasons behind India's strategic shift and explore how this investment is set to reshape the country's role in the global economy. You'll be surprised by what you discover. Stay tuned for more updates. Have you filled up your car's fuel tank recently? How much do you spend on electricity every month? Have you checked the price of a TV or an air conditioner lately? If you have, then you already know that we are in the middle of a price surge. The impact is not limited to industries. Ordinary families are also affected. Prices of cars, electronics, household goods, all of it is going up. In Europe, for instance, the cost of construction is soaring because steel and copper have become scarce. A report says that a year ago, 1 metric ton of copper cost around $8,000. Today, the same amount is priced at more than $10,000. That's an increase of 25%, and copper is just one example. The prices of many metals have shot up. Aluminum is up 60%, zinc 55%, nickel 42%. You see, these are not just numbers. These are building blocks of our modern economy. They are the lifeline of industries. And if you thought this crisis will spare jobs, well, think again. Thousands of workers are set to lose their jobs. Several companies have already issued warnings. In July, the world's largest producer of semiconductors said it was planning to cut production. Another major company is temporarily shutting down operations at one of its plants. The reason for this, a global chip shortage, and the longer it persists, the more the damage. Reports say the global economy could lose $11 billion by next year. And this is just an estimate. The actual impact could be worse. What began as a trade dispute between the U.S. and China has now become a crisis for the whole world. It is a reminder of an important truth. Whoever controls the minerals controls the future. In the 20th century, oil shaped global power. In the 21st century, it's minerals like copper and rare earths that are becoming the new oil. They are the invisible fuel of the modern economy. Across the globe, countries are beginning to realize this. In Europe, governments are rushing to secure long-term supply agreements for their energy transitions. In Asia, nations like Japan and South Korea are actively seeking partnerships to guarantee the flow of critical materials. At the same time, rising powers are positioning themselves to use minerals as leverage in global trade. Just look at China. It is the world's largest producer of rare earths. It accounts for 70% of the world's rare earths production. So when Beijing restricts exports of these minerals, the impact is bound to be felt. That's exactly what's happening in Sri Lanka. The Rajapaksas nationalized a British company that was involved in the production of graphite. Days later, they announced a ban on exporting all forms of graphite. Now, the world's biggest producer of graphite is, you guessed it, China. Coincidence? Well, some would say Sri Lanka's move is part of a grand plan. Beijing is encouraging its partners to nationalize key mineral assets in their countries. In return, China gets the minerals at cheaper rates. It gets a say in the local production, and most importantly, it holds the cards in the relationship. So as the world grapples with shortages, one thing is clear: the demand for minerals will only grow in the years to come. The question is, who will control this market? And the answer, quite frankly, is up for grabs. For the United States, the challenge is clear. Industries cannot thrive if the raw materials they depend on are uncertain. Without copper, the electric grid cannot expand. Without rare earths, fighter jets, satellites, and smartphones cannot be produced. Without steel inputs, construction slows down and infrastructure projects face delays. The foundation of the economy becomes fragile. So, what are the solutions? Experts suggest several paths. One is to expand domestic mining and reduce dependence on foreign sources. Another is to invest in large-scale recycling programs, recovering valuable minerals from old electronics and industrial waste. A third solution is to diversify partnerships, working with trusted allies in regions like Australia, South America, and Africa. Each of these steps requires time, investment, and political will, but they are necessary if industries are to survive and grow. History reminds us that this is not the first time nations have faced resource shocks. In the 1970s, the world struggled through an oil crisis. In the 1940s, materials like steel and rubber were rationed. Each challenge forced countries to innovate, adapt, and rethink their strategies. Today, the rare earth and copper shortage is the test of our generation. And, like past challenges, it will reshape industries, economies, and even geopolitics. Already, the electric vehicle industry is feeling the pinch. Companies like Ford and General Motors are paying more for the lithium they need to make batteries. This drives up the cost of the vehicles. In turn, that affects how many people can afford them. Then there's the military. Fighter jets and missiles rely on rare earths. So does the equipment used to detect and defuse bombs. A shortage here could affect the production of these critical items. Some of the impact is out of our control. The pandemic slowed the production of semiconductors, which in turn affects industries from computers to cars. But we can't blame all shortages on COVID. Consider copper. It's essential for wiring and plumbing. We use it to make electrical connections and prevent corrosion. In the United States, demand for copper has risen 30% in the last decade. Much of that increase is driven by the shift to renewable energy. To meet the demand, the country would need to boost its copper output by 250%. The problem is that the world's largest copper mine is in Chile, a country that produces 5 million tons of the metal each year. That's half of the world's supply. But what if there's a political or economic upheaval in Chile? Or what if a different supplier like China restricts exports? The risk is too great to ignore. We don't have to look back too far to see the consequences of a supply shock. In the 1970s, when oil prices quadrupled, the United States was in an economic tailspin. By 1980, inflation had reached 14%. Unemployment topped out at 7.5%. The crisis led to what Thomas Sowell calls a boom and bust cycle. The economy gyrated wildly until it found a new equilibrium. Today, the rare earth and copper shortage is the test of our generation. And like past challenges, it will reshape industries, economies, and even geopolitics. This is a moment of challenge, but also an opportunity to build a more sustainable and resilient future. Let's use this moment to rethink our relationship with the planet and its resources. Let's invest in cleaner technologies and more efficient processes. Let's work with other nations to ensure a steady supply of critical minerals. And let's remember that true wealth comes not just from the abundance of resources, but from how wisely we use them. This is our moment to rise to the challenge and build a better, more sustainable future for all. For workers in auto plants, steel mills, and research labs, this is more than a headline. It is about jobs, wages, and stability. For consumers, it's about the rising cost of daily life. For policymakers, it's about national security and economic independence. And for businesses, it's about survival in an increasingly competitive world. The bigger lesson is clear. No country can take abundance for granted anymore. Minerals are not just commodities. They are strategic assets. They determine who leads in technology, who dominates in clean energy, and who secures military strength. Nations that control these resources will shape the future of global power. As the world moves forward, the race for critical minerals will only intensify. Countries will compete to secure supply, industries will fight to adapt, and consumers will continue to feel the impact in their daily lives. Think about that for a moment. The minerals that we use every day, the ones that make our phones and cars and appliances work, are becoming a new battleground for global power. It's a race that we have to win. And to do that, we need a clear understanding of what's at stake and how we got here. Let's start with the basics. What are critical minerals, and why do we need them? In simple terms, critical minerals are the essential ingredients of modern technology. They are the raw materials that go into everything from smartphones to solar panels to fighter jets. We rely on them to power the devices that drive our economy, keep our lights on, and our cars moving. But here's the problem. The supply of these minerals is not evenly distributed around the world. Some countries have abundant reserves, while others have almost none. And that gives those with the minerals a lot of leverage. They can control the price, limit the supply, or even cut off the flow entirely. That's why securing a reliable supply of critical minerals is so important. It's not just an economic issue. It's a matter of national security and international influence. The countries that control these resources will have the upper hand in the global race for technological supremacy. They'll be able to produce more advanced goods, drive innovation, and set the standards for the rest of the world. On the other hand, the countries that don't have access to these minerals will be left behind. They'll have to import their technology, pay higher prices, and depend on others for their supply. It's a stark reality that we can no longer afford to ignore. The time has come for us to invest in our own resources, develop new technologies, and forge strong partnerships around the world. The future of our economy, our security, and our way of life depends on it. So let's not waste another moment. Let's seize this challenge and build a future that we can all be proud of. Thank you very much.